Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Don't Believe the Hype show. I'm Valerie Kelso, and thank you once again for tuning in. Our sponsors are PLT Massage and Wellness and Worldwide Entertainment. We are now streaming on Apple, Roku, and also on Amazon. This show is part of the Purple Light Touch Foundation, and at the Purple Light Touch Foundation, we help women and young girls who are recovering from domestic violence, abuse, sex trafficking, any life-altering situation. We offer empowerment, prayer, mentoring, massages, computer classes, and also life skills. If you would like to donate to our foundation, you can do that through our website, which is purplelightouchfoundation.org. Right now we're in the process of trying to get a massage table for the women who are going through life-altering situations, one that can adjust. So we are looking for donations and sponsors who can help us in furthering the cause of the Purple Light Touch Foundation. So if you would like to donate to our cause, please just go onto our website and you will see all the details that you need to find on there that will help us to benefit a woman or a young girl who's recovering from whatever trauma she's gone through. Without further ado, I would also like to thank Jamise, who is behind the camera, who has been faithful from day one. We have been producing this show, and I could not do this show without Jamise. And we have got a special guest. His name is Michael Guinn. He's also an entertainer. He does amazing things, and recently he just did a spoken word. It's called Sposka. And that entails in bringing all poets in the DFW center together, in the DFW area together, where basically after going to the Oscars this year, we decided that we would like to do a spoken word Oscars to just let all the poets in the area know that they are appreciated just as much as every other Oscar that is out there. So without further ado, I'm going to let Mr. Michael Guinn introduce himself. So can you tell the audience a little bit about who you are?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the Don't Believe the Hype show. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Jamise. And thank you to all the fans that are following and listening to Don't Believe the Hype. My name is Michael Guinn. I am a native of East Texas. I am a, social worker turned poet, turned actor, turned activist. And I am simply just enjoying life, doing anything I can to help inspire folks to tap into their creative side so that they can express whatever it is that's inside them, and then use that to help promote awareness for any issue.
Awesome. So Mr. Michael, what made you decide to start writing poetry?
I was working as a child abuse investigator in Fort Worth, December 21st, 1997. And I came in from a long day of working in the field. And I slumped down at my desk, put my head down, and I started crying. And when I lifted my head, I had a pen in my hand. And the very first thing I wrote was, "What good is my master's degree if I can't be the master of me?" And after that, everything came pouring out. Again, I didn't choose poetry. Poetry chose me. And that's the beginning.
So do you host a lot of events? What made you decide that you would like to do events and promote poetry?
Well, that's a good question. I used to go to a lot of open mics and a lot of other events, and sometimes they would start late, or they wouldn't advertise they wouldn't do what they advertised, or either the host made about themselves. I didn't like how the artists were treated, and how often they weren't appreciated or compensated. So I decided to start doing my own shows, where I could, one, start and end on time, two, do exactly what I said I was going to do in the flyer, provide free refreshments, free parking, make it easy for customers and the artists to come together and create an instant community. And of course, if there's an opportunity to either get them paid or get them an opportunity to get paid. So that's why I decided to do it, because I was one of those starving artists who wished I could be appreciated. So I created a bunch of formats where I can do that for the artists now.
Is it easy for you to get artists to perform and pay them? So how do they get paid?
Well, it's easy to get artists to perform, and it's hard to get them paid. It's two ways you do that. One is you have someone who has sponsored an event, and you can pay them, from that budget for that. After you take care of the venue and the food and the music and the sound, and you have budget left over for the artist. Or you can charge a fee, and in that fee sell tickets, and then you can pay artists through ticket sales. What I've done is I've tried to get smart, which is make sure that I plan an event that's close to a payday. Because sometimes, some of the payment systems don't always kick out the money, right when you need it. So I always try to make sure I have my own cash flow, that I can wait till Wednesday or whenever, it releases the money from whenever the payment system releases it. So, but that's it. I just try to make sure I create opportunities for them to get paid, and then use those two methods to pay them straight out.
So the other recently, a few weeks ago, you did the spoken word Oscars.
Right.
What made you decide? I know I said a little bit earlier, but
Right.
what made you decide that you wanted to do the spoken word Oscars?
Well,
And before that, where did you get that name from?
well, the Sposkers is spoken word Oscars. So I'm an actor, and I thought it would be cool. But First of all, I got the idea after you and I traveled to Los Angeles to the NAACP Image Awards, and I've seen a lot of award shows, so I thought it would be cool. Because sometimes, like right now, I'm nominated for a National Spoken Word Award, right? Yeah. They can go to National Spoken Word Awards and vote for Michael Guinn as either a host or either for a virtual show. But a lot of times you vote and it's blind. You don't know that much about the person. So I thought it would be neat to create a platform where we could give actual Oscar replicas, which were really cool, to the winners of these categories. So we had Best Haiku, Best Storytelling, Best Poem with an Accent, Best Read Poem, to be or not to be, or whatever that read poem is, then Best Slam Poet. But what we did is we made it where you actually perform that night. And you would compete that night, and you would win that night. So it was, you leave no doubt in anybody's mind who the best was, and you just performed, and you were judged, and the best person won. You got an Oscar, and I wanted to also give people a chance to really celebrate spoken word by dressing up. Dress up for it. I mean, no matter where we are, we need to always, and you always told me this. You never know who's going to be in the room. Want to make sure that you're representing yourself and, your artistry or your service. So I want to give these poets a chance to, one, to compete, so they leave no room for anybody to say that they're not the best, and then give them an award, and then have them do a little acceptance speech like the Oscars does. So I thought it was fun, and everybody loved it, and we're going to do it again.
It was. I enjoyed it,
Okay.
and the turnout was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Because you would not think so many people could have. It was basically
on a Tuesday night.
On a Tuesday,
Yeah.
and it was standing room.
Yeah.
And every poet, haiku, whoever came on there, they were amazing.
Yeah.
This has been, to me, this was one of the best events that I've been to in a long time.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So all you poets out there that was part of the Sposkers, thank you very much for representing the DFW and Oklahoma City, because people all traveled all the way from Oklahoma just for the spoken word. So going forwards next year, are you planning more of the Sposkers? What's your plan going forward?
My plan, okay, so the Sposkers started as an idea that I tried out on Clubhouse first. I did a little Sposker run on. I did a monologue, haiku, and something else. And so I figured I'd add some categories to it and do it live, since it worked well on the app, and it worked well. So we've already got a date, which is April 6th next year, and we're gonna solidify a location. But we're definitely gonna do it. And this time, since it was just me doing pretty much everything, this time we'll have a team. We'll have presenters. We'll do it even bigger and add more categories. And what I also want to do is make it fun. Like next year, we're gonna add best recipe, or we're going to have best label reader, which means we'll have a table that'll have cans of soup and lotion or whatever, and the poet would come up and pick up one of those, and he would read it as if it's a poem, you know? And so we want to, and just see, because I believe that you should groom people to be hosts, to be speakers, to be ready, to be spontaneous, and I have this, I think it helps people, helps grow people as performers as well as writers and creative, you know, creators. So that's what I'm doing next year.
So going back to you being a promoter, and people come to you, is there a way that they can, when you promote them, what do they get after you've promoted them?
Well, you know, if you're talking about venues, the venues get, like the Dock Bookshop. They got one of their biggest crowds in years on a Tuesday night. So they got that, and it's a black-owned business, or it's a business, and in that business they have books and T-shirts and incense, and they have all types of stuff, art, sculptures, whatever. So that business, by me promoting them, they have people who normally would not have came in that business, and that increases their exposure, that, you know, to new people and potentially new customers.
So what about for you? So what, like you're a promoter.
I am.
And so, say if I wanted to come to you and say, Michael, I need you to promote me, is there a cost that I would have to pay for you to promote me? Yes.
Now it depends. Like, for example, at the Dock, as a promoter, I was giving a part of the door. Mm-hmm. and so that was very lucrative because it's only a $7 ticket. But for other venues, yes, you know, we would work out an arrangement. We would do a contract or an invoice, and then we would, you know, if it's a bar or a cafe, then I would get a percentage of the sales for food. Mm-hmm. Or either I would keep all the door and they would keep that. But usually there is an arrangement that we can create. But mainly, the venue sometimes just offering me a space for free to do the thing, do whatever it is, and then they keep whatever sales, but I'll be able to keep my sales at the door. So there's a lot of different creative ways, lucrative ways that you can agree to make money as a promoter.
So if I needed you to promote me, and I said, well, how would I contact you if somebody out there wanted to book you or promote? Well, before we get to that question, because you write books, right?
I've written a couple.
And are there places where, okay, like you said, the Dock Bookshop, would they then, like we did the spoken word at the Dock Bookshop, would they say all those artists had a book, would the Dock Bookshop put their books into their their space?
Yes. Right now, currently, you have Black and Bitter Coffee and Books, and they also would take a book and sell a book for an artist. Mm-hmm. I think it may be consignment or whatever arrangement they make. And the Dock Bookshop has done that with many poets, and including myself over the years. So yeah, if a poet is interested and they bring, you know, some books, they will sell them. They keep a percentage for selling them, and then you would get, you would get a percentage. So yeah, there's a way that you can make that work as well.
Okay, so if I was like a new poet, what advice would you give a new poet out there who's got work, don't know where to put it or don't know how to promote it? Is there a platform that you do where they can come and promote their new poetry?
Well, first of all, and that's a great question. First of all, I would always strenuously suggest that any new poet who has work out there, if they're thinking about getting it out to the masses, they need to copyright it first. Mm-hmm. Get your work copywritten, and then if you want to try and make a little money off of that after you've copywritten a collection, and it's more details than that, you can also do a chapbook version. Amazon has a way you can do it. But the most lucrative way for me is to have it published through an actual book publisher. That way you can get volume of the book, and they're still going to put it on, you know, Books A Million, Amazon, you know, Walmart, Walden's. They'll still put it there, but at least you'll be able to grab copies at a discounted rate, and you can have those and do your own book signings. And book signings are very lucrative. But anybody new coming out, before you can get to that level, make sure you've written your work, that you've copywritten it as much as possible, and there's different ways you can do that. And then if you're ready to get that out to the masses, or if you want to try and sell your book, then of course you can go through a lot of different, you know, literary, entities that can help you publish your book if you don't do it yourself.
So you talked about copyright, and a lot of new poets are not going to know much about copyright. How would they go about copyrighting their book?
Well, you can put in Google copyrights and go to the Library of Congress. Library of Congress has a poetry. They'll have whatever it is, and you can click poetry and it'll give you the instructions. Sometimes if you want to copyright one poem, I think it's the same as if you're copywriting a collection of poems. So you want to try and get a big collection of your poems and then call that collection Poems by Me. And then everything in Poems by Me is copywritten in that collection, and then you get an ISB number or get a catalog number, and that work is copywritten, so you don't have to worry about anybody trying to take credit for your work. So you could do that. Again, Google Library of Congress and just go there, and it's pretty self-explanatory. But there's a cost though.
Okay, I know you said you do a little bit of acting. Well, not a little. You've done some acting, and you've done several adverts.
Yeah.
Is that what you say over here?
Commercials.
Commercials. Sorry, we call it advertisement in England. So commercials. How did you get into doing commercials?
Being on stage so much and being comfortable with sharing my work kind of created this skill set of performance. Timing, how you read the room, and that kind of transported me into this world where people, if they see you, and they see that you're very comfortable, then to them that means, okay, he or she will be comfortable as an actor, or he or she could probably nail this line. And you never know who's in the audience. So for me, that's what it was. I've done so much poetry, I've been on so many stages, I've gotten so comfortable. I have good memorization. I pretty much can feel the vibe from the writer. So I would go audition, and I would, next thing you know, I'm in a play, or I'm in a film, or I'm doing a commercial. So really, but that's what it is. I mean, I suggest to anybody just to get out there and try it. Just go try it. You don't have anything to lose. All you can do is say no. You're still the same person you were before you walked into an audition. But and again, you don't have to have. It would be good to know. It would be good if you had some type of method acting or something like that. But you don't need it if you are someone like me who just happens to be very comfortable in front of a mic, in front of people. And that comfortability to many people, seeing your potential acting translates into a skill set that they think they can use. And then of course, once you get in there, it's all about taking direction, and then you learn from that, and next thing you know, you create another skill set. So that's how it is.
Okay, so you also book a lot of conferences, and you do a lot of speaking engagement. Is there a way that people how do you get into all these speaking engagements? Because I know a lot of people out there are probably wondering, well, how can you can get into all these speaking engagements and I can't?
Right. Well, I would say, the same thing with acting or anything else that I've done. Like today, I had a chance to perform as an opening act for the grandmother of Juneteenth, Ms. Dr. Opal at Google. And how someone saw me in that, saw me as a potential presenter, was at an open mic. That's a free open mic, an outdoor open mic, and then these people see you, but they don't just see you as a performer. They see you as a potential fit for the vision they have for something, and they hold on to that vision. And then eventually, when it's time to put that vision into play, they think of you and they call you and hope that you have the skills to come and do exactly what you did when they saw you. And so so same thing for conferences. Most conferences have a theme, like the conference that we're going to that I just left in Orlando was called Footsteps to the Future. That's the theme. So a lot of times they're asking for proposals. And what you do is you write a proposal based on their little template that they offer, and if you're able to answer the question and pitch a proposal that fits that theme, which for this one is foster care and adoption, then you will be considered. Well, a lot of times, there are other ways you can do it. For me, I've used Facebook, I've used black newspapers, and I found something, but what I would do is I would send them an email, because if there's one there, of my bio, of my experience in front of people. And sometimes you don't even have to have conference experience. It's just if based on what you presented to them, they're able to decide if you're someone that they can add for whatever part of the conference. So, but that's all I've done. It's really no big secret. Just putting myself out there, just taking time to look at a proposal and answer the questions and let them make a determination of whether or not you fit what they want. There is no, unless you have some real good traction as a professional speaker, and you've got an agent, and you've done some big time things and big TV things, then you have a better chance than most people. But to be honest, anybody who has the ability to speak from the heart can do a conference, but you definitely have to take care of the little things like your website, a brochure, have a business card, have a way for people to pay you if they need to pay you. If you have materials that you need to do for a slide, or you need a projector, you need to know all those things about a conference, because they're going to ask those questions. And I've seen more people lose opportunities for conferences because they don't know exactly what's expected at a conference. So I would suggest maybe perhaps you go to a conference, go to one, and see what those speakers are doing, and then arm yourself, or equip yourself with some of the tools that they use, and then use those things to get in the door, get yourself in the door yourself.
That's really good. So if somebody, I know you do workshops to teach people how to life skills and what you do. Have you got any workshops coming up? So if somebody wanted to come to one of your workshops, do you have anything coming up?
You know what? I have something coming up months from now, but I've gotten so busy booking conferences and things that I haven't. Right now, I need to focus on fulfilling those obligations. But I would love, and I do a lot of, people can call me and ask me questions. I don't mind doing consultation. But right now, I don't have anything coming up until later this year. They can go to MikeGuinnEntertainment.com and see that schedule, or they can visit Mike and Valerie's website, and you can see some things that those two people, whoever they are, what they're doing, okay? I'm just saying, but yeah.
So is there a cost for your consultation? Because like most places that you go, there's usually a small fee.
Right.
Do you charge a small fee for your consultation?
I charge a small fee. I do, but I try to make sure it's affordable and that you get the most out of it. Of course, when I do workshops, it's free material. There's always food and drink to eat, and I try to put you in a situation where it's only a few hours, and that the workshop continues until you get booked, which means you can still call me, ask questions. I'll share with you templates for invoices, templates for fee scales, templates for bios. I'll share all that stuff with you, and you just take that and fill in the blank and do your own thing. So I like to do that because people didn't do that for us. Sometimes it's like people keep things for themselves because they don't want the competition, but I say we need more because it drives the value for us. If we're doing it right, it drives the value up. That way people don't actually say small fee again.
And because poetry is spoken word poetry, it's like not many people look at it as a business or something that touches people's heart, but most people don't realize music is also a spoken word, because it rhymes. The music has got to be right, if that makes sense. So most of the people who are singing, whether it's soul music, all that was all part of a spoken word, because it's all from your feelings, from your emotion.
Right.
And reason why Michael is here today is because I believe that a lot more people, I see a lot of people and they always say, I write poetry, I do spoken word, but I haven't got a platform. Is there a platform where they can come to, that you host, that new poets can come to? Right.
Well, currently, any platform that I host, any new poet or veteran poet are welcome, because veteran poets being at a same place as a new voice, they end up being mentors in my format because we don't allow egos and arrogance, and we try to make sure we manage it where it's all about the community experience, not about one person coming to sell books or CDs or try to, you know, make it about them. So I currently host a lot of events. I host an event every month at the Far Best Theater in Mansfield. There's one coming up on June 16th. I host an event at Create Arlington every second Tuesday for the last 3 years. Next one is on the 13th. I host an event June 15th at Urban Arts Center with Mr. Giles King, and that's featuring C.T. Miller. So that's every third Thursday until September. I host an event every 2 months with Art Stillery. The next one is coming up is June 29th. I host an event at Black and Bitter Coffee and Books, which is going on 4 years. It's the biggest outdoor open mic, and it's free. And that's at, you know, that's in Duncanville. I host that event. Hotel Dryce. I'm actually hosting a Juneteenth program at Hotel Dryce, which is a black-owned hotel here in Fort Worth. And then, of course, I'm hosting a June program at the Doc Bookshop. And then, of course, July 1st, I'm back at Cup of Vibes. It was really cool to be there at Cup of Vibes. I've got Ms. Hesna Muhammad coming. So I'm booking poets as well nationally, and I'm bringing them here to just sprinkle them in all the events I'm doing. I also host an event in Lufkin at the Stampede Coffee House for 9 years now. Of course, I'm in Austin and Corpus Christi and McKinney. I'm all over doing schools. I do a lot of school events. But people, and you know, I've just had a lot of people. I mean, I've got a church event in July 29th in Frisco, and that church saw me at SMU, and SMU saw me at an open mic, you know, 5 years ago, you know, before COVID. So these people remember when you were a new voice for them,
Yeah.
and how you carried yourself, and then if you're a host and you're hosting an event where there are a lot of new people and a lot of different egos and emotional personalities you're juggling, they watch how you do that as a host, and they figure, if you can do that, then you can host our conference. If you can do that, you can host our, you know, our Black History program at Lockheed Martin. They trust you. So it's all about building trust and all about using your expertise to help bring those new voices into a place where they can feel appreciated and supported. And that seems to be working well for me.
And recently I met 3 amazing ladies, well 2 I didn't know, at the Go Red.
Oh yeah.
Right, because we all you was part of the Go Red that I was part of.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was amazing to be a part of that program. And I've seen, when I've been to one of you Creative Arlington, where you've had, it's not just poetry Michael does. It will think out of the box, and if somebody's got a guitar and they want to play, it will welcome you. So don't think it's just poetry that he's going to do. If you want to even be a comedian for the night, I've seen you do that as well. Right. So he's got a lot of things that he does. He's also an MC, so if anybody's looking for an MC, I know Michael's a very good MC. Many of you already know that I'm dating this gentleman, but tonight I told him we're going to keep it professional. Even when we got engaged, Michael did a poetry out of, he told everybody in the audience, just give me a word, give me any word. And they was throwing all these crazy words at him, and I genuinely did not know Michael was going to turn it into a wedding proposal for us that night. That's why I kept laughing, because I thought it was great how we did it, how someone can take anybody's words. I mean, if there's anybody out there right now and you want to throw Michael a word, trust me, by the end of this, if I'd have done this before, he would have taken every single word that you had thrown at him, and he would have turned it into a poem. That is a man that's creative. That is a man who knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? And it takes someone who's got emotion. I thought your chest was swelling, man.
Oh, no, I touched the mic, I'm sorry.
It just takes somebody who is genuinely care about some other poets to do what Michael does, because trust me, he doesn't have to do this, because Michael's main job is not a poet, he's a social worker. And tell them a little bit about what you do as a social worker.
You know what, and I appreciate that, because social work is how I got into poetry and spoken word, because there is a difference between poetry and spoken word. I work full-time as a housing coach with Track. Track currently is a part of City Square. And just want to say for the record, anybody watching this, City Square Track, or Track Dallas, is now nominated, has been nominated by the Dallas Morning News as as a finalist as one of the top nonprofits in Texas. So there you go. So go to DallasMorningNews.com and vote for Track, y'all. It's a wonderful organization. We provide, aftercare, transitional living, rapid rehousing, and permanent supportive housing for our homeless and former foster youth. It's a tremendous job. Comes with a lot of challenges, but it's rewarding as well. So I've been there for almost 8 years now. So yeah, Track.
So you said that it's transitional housing for foster care. Mm-hmm. What age?
Oh, it's 17 to 24. I mean, sorry, for foster care it's 17 to 21, but for any homeless person or any youth not coming through not aging out of foster care, it's 17 to 24. We offer an opportunity for you to be a part of our wonderful organization. And again, we provide a little bit of everything. If it's foster care, tuition waiver, FAFSA, TLA, bus passes, workforce, whatever, and of course some very, very creative case management. Trust me, we have to be in this day and age. And then of course anybody else, we make sure we take care of the rent and just do a whole lot of things. Even if you're behind on your light bill or something, on your electricity, if it's a situation that we can help with, we will try and make sure.
Has it only got to be children aging out of foster care, or is it, that you deal with all?
No. It can be youth who are, for example, we have two ways. If you're going to come into our permanent supportive housing program, as long as you're under the age of 24,
okay.
and you have to be actually homeless. And then if you are, you're put on a list, and then we pull people off that list to fill our caseloads that way. And then of course we have the other way, which is our foster youth. So we have two ways that we help provide services for our clients.
Because not many people know that they just think that you just go out there and you do spoken word. But Michael does have a regular 9-to-5 job, and sometimes you have to wonder, how can he do a 9-to-5 job and do all these spoken word and do all these MCing? That's because this man has got a heart. He cares not just for what he does at his job, he cares for people who are doing spoken word. And recently he was on the news, yeah, because of one of the young gentlemen.
Right.
And I got the opportunity to meet that young gentleman he's writing poetry.
Right here in this building.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And he's writing poetry. And Michael took this young gentleman under his wings, and he turned him from, you can tell them a little.
Yeah, the young man, when we first got him, he was 17, he was still in foster care. His attitude and aggression was such a high level that he had to have extra staff in the classroom with him. So what happens is that whenever a youth is getting ready to age out, they'll assign them one of us as an aftercare people. And that way when they turn 18, they don't just hit the streets. They have, some other option, either a boarding home or transitional or somewhere else, and then they transition over to permanent supportive housing. And this particular youth, he struggled. He struggled with drug use and gangs and anger issues. He had some jail stuff going on, but he finally pulled it together. But it took 2 a.m. phone calls, and you see me do that a lot of times, and early morning, hey, it's gonna be all right, or hey, what's your cash app? I can send you $250 for the bus. All right, it took a lot of creative case management to let them know that they have support, that they're not by themselves, and you don't know how much that does for someone who doesn't have their parents, who doesn't have their support from their family, just to know they have someone else, instead of turning to someone who may not have their best interest at heart. And so I understand how important it is to be a support system for, our kids, because I was one of those kids. I left home when I was 12, stayed with my grandmother. I've been on my own since I was 17. But the same way I care about that is the same way, the reason why I have so much energy and passion for spoken word and being an MC or a guide is because I've seen how people who have gotten these opportunities squandered them, and that's a black eye on spoken word. It makes people think that maybe we can continue to just give them $25 and a gift certificate for a cup of coffee when we actually bring so much more, because we don't have a musical instrument. We just have the heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I work so hard, because I want to be an example of when someone sees spoken word and an MC having fun and moving the room around and not making it by themselves and embracing everybody and ending and starting on time, that we are professional, that we are focused, that we are structured, that we're organized, because that helps elevate the profile of spoken word and poetry. And that's the reason why I work so hard and have stayed in it for as long as I have.
Okay, so Mr. Michael, we are coming to the end of our show. Yes. And I'm going to ask you one last question. What does "Don't Believe the Hype" mean to you?
Don't believe the hype means exactly that. Don't believe the hype. The hype could be, something that is so glorified, so way out there that it makes you forget about the thing that's right here in front of you. That's what I believe about don't believe the hype.
Okay, I know I said this was the last question, but you do a clubhouse. Is there a way people can, is there an email that you would like to leave the audience? Because I also know you do a clubhouse on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Is there a way people can follow you?
Yeah, they get, they can get all the emails and all the social media handles by simply going to www.mikeguinn.com. Everything is there, and I try to update it, and find out. But also, you can just Google Michael Guinn, Mike Guinn. You can Google Valerie and Mike, or Mike and Valerie, and something that we're doing is going to pop up. But when you reach out to us and you see a number or an email, we pretty much can answer questions about anything that you ask. So make sure you reach out, okay?
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Don't Believe the Hype show. I hope all you poets, spoken word artists got something out of Michael Guinn today. Is there any word that you want to leave them before we come off the air?
Don't believe the hype.
As you can hear, Mr. Michael Guinn, he just can't help himself. Anyway, thank you all for tuning into our show. We will see you back in around 2 weeks' time. And have a wonderful and blessed holiday season. As you know, we've just come out of, well, it's my birthday on the 17th of June. And I will be 60 years old, so I'm just letting you all know. Believe the hype, I still look good. Thank you for tuning in, and all have a wonderful and blessed week. Bye.